Hey, tough and the out of this world story from Street Travel. There are ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back in Street Travel. I am your host Manir.
I, 29 male, think my parents, 50s, are setting us up for a surprise arranged marriage for me. My parents are very traditional and I am more of the white sheep of the family. I don't really look like a lot of my family and have always gone against the grain. Starting when I was a teen, I knew what path I wanted to take for my future. It was not what my parents wanted, so they fought back. But we ended up with an agreement that I thought wouldn't matter, and that was if I wasn't married in 10 years after I started college, they would arrange a marriage. I figured they were joking, and there was a thought that there was no way I'd be single in 10 years. I have had some flings, but nothing serious. Up to this point, I have been driven to get to where I am now. In my dream career, I am stable, self-sufficient, with no debt, and becoming successful. There has been no talk about it throughout the years, and I thought it was forgotten. Until my older sister said that she was coming back this week for an event. She lives several states over. I don't get to see her as much anymore. We are close and talk a bunch, but all has been normal with nothing being said or hinted at this point. I went to pick her up from the airport and noticed she had 3 fancy dresses. One was a very traditional dress used for engagements, weddings, or other similar events. The other 2 were really formal dresses. When I questioned her about them, she said, "Don't worry about it." Then later she said it was for an agreement. She used the word agreement. I dropped her off at our parents' house and they wouldn't let me in the house. But there were a bunch of cars and I saw decorations in the house. They kicked me out and said they would talk to me later. This was 2 days ago. Now, they've invited me to dinner for Thursday and told me to dress like I was receiving a reward for all my hard work. It is driving me crazy that I'm basically being blocked out and I'm nervous about what Thursday holds. The only agreement I can think about is the arranged marriage. I asked my sister again if that was what it was about and she said not to worry too much about it, but then added that our parents do notice things and wouldn't leave me with a stranger. These are all odd comments that are making me paranoid. I don't know if my sister is slipping information or is just pushing my buttons to make me go crazy. Am I just crazy? Those who have been in arranged marriages, what was it like? How did it come up? I feel like this is not normal if this is what it is. Should I not go? Skip town? I have driven by their house and there is still a bunch of cars and activity. But every time I get close, my mom calls me out and says not to come back until Thursday. My sister is sent to basically act as a bodyguard. Well, OP, in my opinion it's kind of difficult to give you any kind of advice considering I don't know what culture you're from, so I don't know how strong the whole arranged marriage is, but personally I don't think they should be a thing. I think if it's your life you should be able to make that call. So I would think I need to have a little bit more information in order to be able to tell you what I think you should do. So I would say your options are: if you go, can you decline? Can you say no, I don't want to marry this person? Can it be about something else? Could it actually be a dinner regarding your achievements? Doesn't sound like it, but is there a chance? And if you don't go, will they do it again at some other point? Are you going to skip on your parents like forever? Are they going to keep chasing you? Will they disown you? I have no idea what could happen to you, because again, I don't know where you're from and I have no understanding of your culture. But out of ignorance, I would say, if there are no hard repercussions, like anything bad that would happen to you, I'd say, don't go. Just tell your parents that you know what's up, or send them some sort of a message with your sister, and that you're just not going to go on Thursday. Maybe that'll put them in a position to actually tell you what's going on, and then you can make a better informed decision. But again, that's just me talking out of my ignorance, cause I've got no idea how to help you on this one. And what do you guys think is going on here? Do you think it's some sort of homage, dinner for OP and his accomplishments? Do you think it's an arranged marriage or some other type of ceremony? And if it was an arranged marriage, how would you deal with it? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Dryask5493 says, yes, this is most likely an ambush engagement and wedding. You have a couple options. 1. Don't show up. 2. Show up and only go through with it if you want to. Otherwise, deny this marriage and leave as soon as possible. You could call them out now and tell them that if this is what they are planning and they don't get your approval first, then things will not end well for them. Echoes Echoing says, what if you test the waters a bit? Tell them, I've been wanting to take my girlfriend to meet you guys for a while. I'll bring her Thursday, and see how they react. That should tell you everything. And if they are making you marry someone, just make something up and turn off your phone for the day. Minutebox3852 says, be unreachable that day. Text them late Wednesday. You can't make it, you have something else, enjoy their dinner. And immediately turn off your phone and turn off location. Don't be home. Get a nice hotel room, order room service, and leave your phone off until Friday. They can't blame you for ruining their plans when you had no idea. Yes, it sounds like they plan to corner you and force you through intimidation by putting you on the spot with a large audience. That is not okay. Aggravating Plum 8147 says, don't go to the event. You sound like you are more than able to fund your own life now. What would happen if you didn't show up and refuse the marriage? Would your parents try to hurt you or kick you out of the family? Is this a pride thing? Do they look bad in their community because you aren't married? I would be terrified. If you go, they will force the marriage on you. Please just don't show up. You'll find after what it was about because I'm sure your parents will contact you to let you know you ruined the day. And random username. That's creative. 2895 says this is not an arranged marriage, this is a forced marriage. OP, if you don't depend on your parents financially, run. OP's at it. I am reading your replies, but when I try to post a comment, it says some media is having issues. Please try again later. Answering some comments. Nope, not fake. Believe it or not, it is my life. I am a man. This is heavily culturally based as well. If I don't show up and it is an engagement, then there would be major backlash for me, my parents, and my family. I wouldn't hold it past some of the elders to blame health issues on me because of it. I could be shunned and outcast because of it, depending on how much effort and time were put into it. I can't lie and tell them about a girlfriend because my sister knows I'm not seeing anyone. We talked about it earlier. Work is closed for the US holiday and I don't know how to feel. Alright, well, it's definitely not an easy situation for OP. Update. Thank you all for your words and opinions. The most common things I saw were run, hide, fake sickness, bring a fake girlfriend, and the comments about the culture and lifestyle I wanted moving forward. We are currently in the US. Okay, long story short, I'm not married or engaged, but I am kind of dating someone, I guess. So the day after I posted, I got off work early and sat down with my bodyguard of a sister after she found me. I knew I could crack her if I put on enough pressure. We met up for lunch. I got her to talk. She said that the original plan that she knew of was that my parents were going to do the forced marriage engagement thing on me, but she got them to agree to an intent party. I think you can call it that. But I still didn't believe her. So, I took it to my parents. A quick thing about my sister is that she is older and had an arranged marriage. But also, they were secretly dating at the time. I told my parents that they needed to come over to my place. They wanted to blow me off. But after some choice words, they came. I asked them what was happening. They tried to deflect and deny it. I eventually told them that I would not get married or engaged unless I wanted to. I know we made an agreement, but the terms have changed. If they wanted to force the issue, I would go to the party with someone else and act way out of character. I would also be very disrespectful and bring dishonor to our family. Then I would cut them off and go no contact. Of course, they did not like that. They tried to say I wouldn't do that again and went on for a bit. I finally asked if they wanted to risk it and if they wanted to see and test me. In the end, they were still very vague and said I would not be forced to get married or engaged. They promised it would be my choice in the end. They said to trust them. I laughed and said that right now, my trust is zero. They pleaded with me to just show up and I said I would. I was going to have the backup girlfriend on standby, like 90% of people said, but I couldn't get anyone on short notice. One person I called said they had a family obligation party they had to attend. So on the day of, I dressed nice but not traditional or overly fancy. I parked in a way that would allow me a quick getaway if needed. I walked into their house and there were a ton of people. My extended family was there, my parents, friends, and others from the community, basically like 40 to 60 people. My sister noticed me first and then guided me to our parents and they were talking to some old family friends. As the party progressed, I started to relax when I ran into my friend who had the family obligations. Her parents were the ones that my parents were talking to basically the whole time. She was told to come at a later time than I was. We got to talking and we put two and two together. We noticed both parents looking at us and smiling. And we both had an oh crap moment. These old family friends of ours were always around. They have a daughter that we grew up close with. But when life got in the way, schooling and jobs, we drifted apart and didn't hang out as much since I went to school a few states away and she did as well. The worst part of this whole thing was they made speeches about two families coming together. Hopefully this is the start of a happy relationship. By this time next year we might be grandparents. That last one made me mad. I definitely felt like they were putting pressure, you don't say. So I did say that in the end it is our decision as individuals if we decide to see each other, date, get married, or have children. That did not go over well. We had a duty and responsibility to listen, respect, and obey them. I told them that that way of thinking is old-fashioned and outdated. Times have changed. My sister stepped up and had our back. She also said that the times are changing and that our life is our life. She also said that most of the people in the room are unhappy in their marriages and are hypocritical in their ideas about marriage. Specifically, she called out half of the people in the room. My mom is the gossip queen. That is also when she took the opportunity to announce that she was getting a divorce, like most of them should, instead of being unhappy and resentful in unfulfilled marriages that others pushed on them. After some drama and big arguments later, my sister, Kay, my plausible girlfriend, and I left early. We all went back to my place and spent the rest of the night talking and ignoring our phones. My sister apologized for hijacking our party and taking the spotlight. The drama and fallout have been rough, but Kay and I have been talking and hanging out. Like I said previously, we used to be good friends. We caught up a bunch, and she told me that she is moving back to the area for a job opportunity and would like to hang out more. As much as I hate the circumstances of our reunion, I really like her. I think I might ask her out officially. She has to go back and finish up her moving process, but she is an amazing woman. Our views and opinions about most things align. We have good conversations and debates over silly topics. It has been like we are both teens again. As for my sister, she said she and her husband have been separate for a while now because he is not loyal and made vows that he and his fetus couldn't and didn't keep. She also apologized for the deception and the blow-up again. This has made us closer as siblings. I dropped her off at the airport the other day. We've also been talking daily. As for me, I might move slightly further away. And I'm also in low contact with most of my family and people from the party. I also had to unload people who I thought were my friends. That has been rough. My parents had keys to my place and showed up one day. I got them out and agreed to meet up at their house later as I was heading out. When I went to their house, I stole my keys back. It was a bit funny when they tried to come back in and they couldn't find the key. I put an electronic lock on it since, and I know they won't know how to work it, even if I showed them 1,000 times. I'm not sure where things will go in the future. Thanks. OP's edit. I would like to point out that this has happened over a week. I made it so that the major point got hit but left out a bunch of informational details. In regards to my sister, she was left in the dark and was only given details over time. I believe it is called trickle-truthing. After she got there, she got the truth and convinced them to change the party. She was very angry at our parents. Then she explained that the decision to blow up was impulsive and liberating. OP, well, that was a ride and I would think congratulations are in order. I don't know, because you seem happy but not happy at the same time. So all I'm going to say is that if this friend K that you say is somebody that you truly like and she likes you and you guys compliment each other and respect each other, well then here's wishing you both the best in the future, and if not then at least you guys will be friends and that's also a win. Also congratulate your sister on dropping the cheating scum. That's always a good thing. Thanks for sharing, OP. To take care. Now let's finish this video with a mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance and it's by user Luigi Sa. What to log everything I do? Sure, I can do that. This was almost 10 years ago, contracting for a very large financial services provider. For some context, the team manager was promoted to a new division in the team. 8 of us working across 2 shifts to cover international as well, was left with 2 team leaders. I will call them Moron Boy and Passive Girl to run the show until the new manager was hired. New manager joined 6 months later or early depending on perspective and probably because of me. My job in a nutshell was to onboard new employees into all the required systems for their daily functions as well as set up their email and add accounts for server access, which was dumped on my lap a month into the job because I had prior experience. Said Moron Boy. I didn't mind the email and ad because it's literally 2 minutes per account and it didn't affect my central function by more than 20 minutes a day. It'll make sense soon. And audits were 30 minutes a week. This all happened from a centrally shared mailbox. It's requests, so you can determine how busy you are. On to the fun. Almost before the door, the manager on the way out, Moron Boy and Passive Girl called us into a meeting room and stated that we must make no less than 10 requests a day, all to be logged on their call logging system. And here are the contract amendments we must sign or be fired. Being a contractor, you'd think I would shut the hell up. But nope, I just can't do being kicked in the balls, so I piped up. I don't see how it's possible to guarantee 80 requests a day minimum for every team member to meet the requirement. Why not scalar the ticket account and see who did what? His face turned a deeper color and he shouted at me to mind my own business. I didn't know what I was talking about. Malicious compliance, which included calling my contract house manager, sassy and fun gal, explained what was happening, and after she could breathe again from laughing so hard, she told me not to get her fired. I head back to my desk knowing full well that audits are about to start in a week and I get multiple requests to make amendments to accounts to test Active Directory security. And lo, here it begins. I got an email 2 days later to prep for a massive test. I was tasked to amend nearly 6,000 accounts with new settings and then change them back on request, with minimal impact to the users, during working hours, so I needed to do this quickly. Now any tech worth his measure out there will know that almost anything is scriptable. I set it all up and called my mate at the service desk. Here's the funny thing, he also has a script to log multiple tickets. Roll on D-Day. I take the auditor's call at 8 a.m. to make the change. I send the email to my desk mate. He logs the tickets in a record 30 seconds. My mailbox booms with 6,000 open tickets. I run my script and 90 seconds later, bam, the job is done. I carry on with my core function. 3 hours later, the auditor called me to revert. I ran my second script and everything went back to normal. Called my mate to close the tickets, and a minute later my mailbox frazzled for a bit getting 6,000 closure ticket. It's at this point I smile, sit back and start browsing all my meme sites. Yes, joys of ad control. I gave myself unrestricted internet access. A nice perk. Anywho, in less than an hour, passive girl comes to me to ask what's happening. I simply state that the contract amendment they forced on us clearly means I don't have to work for 200 days. So I'll be sitting here enjoying my time off, or I can do it from home. Either way, I'm ahead of the curve. She walks away and moron boy storms over, demanding I get back to work. I repeat what I said to passive girl. He splutters for a while and he huffs off. True to my word, I sat at my desk doing nothing. But sadly, it didn't last 2 days before the head of the department called me in. After an initially aggressive start to the meeting on his part, I got to explain the situation. I wasn't even to the good part and he dropped his head into his palms, calmly listened to the story, asked me for a copy of the amendment and thanked me for my time. 2 hours later, he called me back and asked me, with sassy and fun gal in the room, what it would take to get me back to work. I decided to keep it simple, formally retract the stupid amendment and pay me out for the time spent on the audit, which is 600 days, as per the contract amendment. He blowfished for a few seconds, agreed, and I left for the day. I wake up the next morning to a huge jump in my bank account with an email confirming I'll be back in the office. Please, I am a man of my word. I was back at my desk working as usual, and for some reason moron boy and passive girl never came near me again, even when I shifted to another department. Well, OP, you were just doing what you were requested to do. They didn't stipulate how long it had to take you to do it. So good for you and your bank account.